Hello ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to my channel. My name is Chris. This is We Love Comics. I already see there are some people here. That's always a good sign. Hopefully you guys are ready to check out one of my comic hauls. If you've seen my videos, you'll know I have a lot of comics that I have not unboxed because basically I wanted to always make sure that I had comics even, well, who would have predicted times like this, but even in situations where things are not going normally and I couldn't keep up my regular routine. One or two of these comics I'm about to show, I actually got back when I was living in New York. And it's a pretty key issue, and it's actually funny how I have not unboxed it until now. So I got a comic haul for you guys, but I always want to make sure while I'm waiting for people to see that I am live. Even if you're not subscribed, come join into the live chat, because this way you can get, if you'd like, a surprise subscriber shout out. That it only happens if you're in the live chat, so make sure you have your voice heard. The more I see your words in there, the more likely I will pick you. So if you want that, make sure your voice is heard. Also, don't forget to sign up for the cashback program before you buy any comics. Also, if you saw my deal with Southside Comics, there's links in the description. But if you sign up for the cashback program, which they don't qualify for that particular site, but there's plenty like eBay, Amazon, and many others, where if you spend $25 or more after you sign up, within the first 90 days, you'll get a $10 additional cash back. Now, I see about 150 to 160 people signed up and haven't used it yet. So take advantage of it so you don't lose that extra 10 bucks, because, hey, these days, any amount of money is definitely worth saving, because then you could put it towards other things instead of just giving it away to someone else. Alright, so with that being said, and all the links and everything are in the description, so check that out of this video, and I always pin information to the comment section of each video that I do. So let's put on the video camera, show some of these comics, and welcome everybody. Now, some of these are new, some of these are old, none of them are borrowed, and I don't think any are blue. But there are definitely some books you may want to add to your collection, because you guys know me, I tend to collect a lot of investment speculation. There's plenty I buy for art, some definitely I buy for the story, some for nostalgia. There is no wrong way to do it. Alright, so let's get this started. The first one is a brand new book. This is definitely one that's become hot, and I'm going to jump on the train and see what happens with it. Sometimes when it comes to speculation, you have to take the chance, so you can lose. Keep that in mind. Alright, so this is You're the Villain, Authorized 3. Now, this is the third print. One of the things I've learned is, you know, back in the 90s when I used to collect comics, nobody wanted second prints. Everybody thought they were ridiculous. I mean, the concept was, why wouldn't you want the first print, which is the actual first appearance, when the second print is technically no longer the first appearance? But people see it differently these days, and you got to go with the times. So I skipped the second print and went straight to the third print. Who knows what the print run will be on this, but it's always worth taking a chance on. This book, it came out at $4.99, but I didn't pay cover price. I paid a little extra. Came out with shipping and handling of $6.32. This is the first full appearance of Punchline. Grandmaster just did a super chat. Thank you for that. Anytime anybody does a super chat, I want to thank you. Always appreciate it, and hopefully my comics will help you. And he says good morning, and right back at you. So that's the third print. I would definitely take the chance on this if you can get it cheap, because who knows what's going to happen with Punchline long term. I think it is a character that's worth taking notice of, because a lot of people gravitated to it, and the people dictate what's hot and what's not. But it also depends, will DC now overkill? Will they do it, you know, justice? Time will tell if it has long-term value. So, again, when it comes to comics, you're taking a chance for $6 each. You know, it's worth it. We'll see what happens. This is a book I've been recommending since 2016. I did not get additional prints for this. I don't know why I didn't, but again, for the same reason, I guess if you're my age and you grew up in the 90s, you probably have the same feeling about, you know, second, third, fourth prints as I do, so this is something to readjust. But for the price I paid, considering what these are going for now, I took the chance, and I don't care, because I have like about at least 7 to 10 copies of the first print of the book. I bought for about $10 to $12 a piece, and you know when you see it. So this is Ultimate Fallout 4. These are both the second print. This is the regular second print where it's a face reveal, even though he's kind of in the shadows. But this one's just as popular because you could see his full face. This is the second print, but it is a variant. These in 9.8s, the second prints are going for over $300 at this point. Same with this one. So, are these 9.8s? Remains to be seen. I mean, I don't see any ticks or anything like that, but you never know. But still, I paid $42.72 each for these. So, considering what the prices are now, that is a good deal. Now, I should have bought these a while ago, but again, I kind of focus more on first prints, so I'm trying to change that. So, you got to grow with the times. But considering what these are going for now and what they will continue to go for, because I've been telling people since 2016, you may want to pick up these books. They're talking now rumors of Miles Morales eventually getting a live, MCU movie if they work the deal with Sony. Remember, that is an if. And if that happens, you think the prices of this book is expensive now? Wait until that happens, because then that means this character has long-term profitability and popularity. And this character, I knew it, the same with Spider-Gwen, are going to stand the test of time. Because this is basically the millennials generation of Spider-Man. They relate more to Miles Morales than Peter Parker. Old school people like me may not be thrilled about that, but hey, if you could profit off of these books, pay a mortgage payment, pay some bills, or buy some more comics that you may want, like an AF-15. I'm not saying those will get you that, but sometimes it's worth it to get newer books to take a chance. Richard McDowell says, how common are second print variants? It always depends, because a lot of times when there's a second printing, basically when a comic book company puts out a book, they have no idea how it's going to come out. If it ends up selling out really quick, they end up making a second print. A lot of times the second print will have more copies than the original because the first print they were caught off guard. After that, it gets a little less and less. But it really depends on the book and the popularity. I mean, as soon as the second print sells out, they'll go to a third print, like you saw with that other book. And if you see like something like Edge of Spider-Verse 2, I think it went up to like 6 different prints. So it's hard to say. It really depends on the popularity of the book. And they don't really put print runs all the time. And you never know, because some could get damaged in the mail by an eBay seller that didn't know how or didn't care how to send a comic. Some get read and ripped and lost and all different things, so it's hard to say. But if the price is right, any book is worth it. If you overspend on an AF-15, if you have Amazing Fantasy 15 and the book that you bought is worth $1,000 and you spent $5,000 on it, well, it's going to take you a long time to make that profit back or at least break even. So no matter what book it is, it always depends on the price. I cannot stress that enough. And speaking of which, I overpaid for these. This is one of those caught in the hype moments. But if this character does well, then I will do well in the long term. So I show that sometimes even I can be caught up in the emotional part of stuff. There's some other books I'll show in a CGC unboxing that I'll explain that about. But I always think long term. Now, again, when it comes to newer books, you're taking a risk. That's why 99%, 98% of my collection is older books, because they are established. I mean, you can't go wrong with Peter Parker. You can't go wrong with Thor and Iron Man, the original Iron Man, not Ironheart. If you like her, that's good. But I took the chance on these. I definitely overspent. But if they end up doing well and they become very popular and the price goes up, I will be happy. If it doesn't happen, it's a lesson learned, so I don't shoot myself for that happening. Alex says, do you collect Valiant? How dare you, sir, say that? I collected in the 90s. I have lots of Valiant. That puts a bad taste in my mouth. I have lots of Valiants. Don't collect them anymore. To be perfectly honest, the only reason I even collected Valiants when I was a kid is because if you know about Wizard magazine, they must have been in bed with the creators of Valiant, or they must have been majority stockholders, because they were kissing the living behind of Valiant, saying you had to get these books. And that was a prime example of me not buying a book because I liked it, because to be honest, I hated the cover art. I bought it because, oh, it's a speculation, everybody's buying it. I fell into that back in the days, and that's why I'm trying to teach you all now. Be very careful sometimes, because if you go based on hype, You're going to be disappointed more than you'll ever be happy. And that's why, like, my Valiants, most of them aren't worth anything. I didn't enjoy them because I didn't like them. I only bought them because Wizard Magazine kept pressing and pressing and telling you, and that was, there was no internet back then. That was what you got your information from. And if a big company was telling you that's what you got, and you're a child and you're naive and you don't have the internet to verify things, well, lesson learned. So, Valiant, some of you will agree with me. But hey, if you like it, again, if I don't like it, that means if you like it, I'm not going to try and outbid you. So there's advantages to people having a variety of likes and dislikes when it comes to anything. All right, so first one. I mentioned this book in a couple of videos ago. This is Thor number 5. This is the first full appearance of Black Winter. This is a very hot character. Again, it's speculation. You never know what's going to happen, if it's going to be long-term, if it's going to be good. It could be another Null, or it could be another Weapon X. You never know. So it takes a chance. You take a chance and you see what happens. So this is the Marvel Zombies variant. Love this cover. Paid $20 for it, which is about what the going rate is. You could probably get it a little cheaper, but I got caught in the hype, and we'll see what happens. Same thing with this one. I definitely overspent on this. That's because I just rushed in with emotion, so it shows even pros like me that have been doing this for a long time can make that mistake. But if it ends up, this book becomes a $300, $400, $500 book, $1,000 book, which is not unheard of these days, I'm not going to worry. I always deal long term. So this is Thor number 5. This is the 1 in 25 variant. Again, first full appearance of Black Winter, because Thor 4 is the first cameo. 1 in 25 variant. I spent $135 for this. So I definitely overspent as of now. Lesson learned. You never know. It might end up being good, or it could be a waste of money. I don't regret it either way. I took the chance, but it's one of those times it shows that even people that have been collecting for a long time could get caught in hype and end up overspending. So that's a bad job on my behalf as of now. That can change later if that book and that character becomes another Null or another Venom. Then I'll be happy later on. So I won't make as much profit if that happens, but profit is always profit if you're doing it for investments. Worth taking the chance on, but hey, lesson learned. All right, this is a book I would definitely recommend getting. This is one that will probably be very overlooked, which means you could probably get this book really cheap. So don't forget, if you see any of these and you're going to go on eBay, for example, to buy them, sign up for the cashback program. I put the link in the description of the live chat and in the video. If you click on the link that I provide and spend $25 or more, you end up getting the $10 cashback bonus. But this is definitely a book I would highly recommend. This is Marvel Premiere, number 27. This is Satana's first solo book. So this isn't her first appearance, and I've shown that in my CGC haul. If you haven't seen it, go check it out so you'll know which one that is. But considering there are rumors at this point, and the reason I say rumors, because even if it's something they're going to do, it doesn't mean things cannot change. But Satana has been rumored to be part of the MCU in its future. Some of the Hellstrom and all that other stuff, I've been telling people about that for years. Unfortunately, I don't get as much credit, but that's alright. As long as you guys benefit, that's fine. But this book you can get relatively cheap. This is probably between a 7 and an 8.5 range. I mean, it always depends on pressings. Looks pretty darn good. But I only paid $19.44 for this book, and of course that always includes shipping and handling. So it might be worth taking the chance on. Again, if Satana is confirmed, and it does happen, the first appearance is always going to be the most sought after, but that's already expensive, and it's going to continue to be expensive. These are books that might be overlooked that you might want to check. And Lauro Lopez just did a super chat. Thank you for that. Did a little thank you emoji. That's cool. I've never seen that before. I love when you guys do that. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. And out of 42 people so far, only 19 have hit the like button. So please, if you like what I'm doing, make sure you hit the like button. And somebody asked about my karaoke career. It's non-existent. Unfortunately, my flea market is out of business. They sold. and never will reopen, so I lost that business. And the karaoke business, all the bars, you're not allowed to open the bars now here in Florida because apparently drinking in bars has caused all the problems. Not any of the riots or anything like that or whatever. So as of now, I've been unemployed for 4 months. What are you going to do? All right, so next book. This is one, if you saw the video I made about 2 weeks ago about books that you need to add to your collection, this was one I didn't get yet, so I didn't want to mention it without showing it, but this is definitely a book I highly recommend getting. This is X-Men number 109. Now, any X-Men book is going to be pretty hot, especially when you're talking the from 94 up with the new X-Men and then the older X-Men, of course, you know, X-Men number 1. But there are rumors that Alpha Flight may appear in the MCU. As usual, if it is a rumor, it does not mean it's going to happen, or it cannot change, or if it happens, it might not be good, or it might be a cameo. Remember Crossbones? What a big deal that was when they said Crossbones was going to be in a movie, and he ended up being a very insignificant character in the Civil War movie. So anything can happen, but if you pay a good price, you're going to do well. So this is the first appearance of Vindicator. Love that costume. It's the Canadian superhero version of the X-Men. This is not the first appearance of Alpha Flight, but this is the first character who ends up being one of the leaders of Alpha Flight. Paid $57.80 for this. Of course, that is shipping and handling. So definitely a book I would highly recommend getting. Again, nothing's confirmed, so you are taking a chance. Alright, this book has been boxed up until today since I lived in New York. I have several copies of this book, but I will continue to get them when I get good prices. So, there are books that I've had in these boxes over here. Some of them have been since I've been in New York. But this is definitely another book I recommend. It's going to continue to go up in my opinion. I mean, it's got such a following, it's not even funny at this point. But this, of course, this is my third or fourth copy of Rick and Morty number 1. This is the first print. This book is going pretty good at this point. I would probably say 9.6, maybe a 9.8. There is a tiny little microscopic little color break, but you can have one or two little minor problems with a 9.8. I mean, I've seen books from CGC that had 2 color breaks, and they graded it a 9.8. So anything's possible. But of course, if PGX did it, then everybody would have had a poop fit. But this, of course, is a key issue to get. First, 9.8s are selling pretty high, but I don't worry about that until I get them graded. Always get your books pressed and dry cleaned if you're going to grade them, because it will help. I paid only $102.50 for this book. Definitely worth it, in my opinion, for a first print. Alright, so we got 3 more books to go. Don't forget to hit those like buttons and the share buttons, and don't hit your belly button. But this is a book I've had. This was one when I was a kid. It was one of the books I bought as a teenager. Got stolen. I have several copies of this book, but I love this cover. This is a great, iconic cover in my opinion. Definitely a classic. You'll know it when you see it, and one I would definitely recommend. This, of course, is Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue number 122. This, of course, is the quote-unquote death of Green Goblin. This was such a great story. Absolutely loved reading this as a child. It's funny, for some reason, this always reminds me of the British flag for some reason. Every time I see that part, I don't know why. Just embedded in my mind. But this is probably between a 7 to a 7, maybe to an 8. It's in pretty darn good condition. Love this book. If you don't have this in your collection, you should definitely add it, because especially if Green Goblin ends up in the MCU, or even in a Venom series and over at Sony, you never know what they're going to do, because it always depends on the rights. Like I said, even if this character ends up in the MCU, I think you're going to see Norman Osborn before you see the Green Goblin at this point. But any Green Goblin, if he shows up, is going to become popular. And back in these days, they didn't just bring characters right back. So, quote-unquote, death of characters actually meant something back then. But I paid $102.50 for this book, which is not bad for the condition. Of course, getting it pressed and dry cleaned would raise the price, but I probably won't get that one graded. This is another book I definitely recommend. The price you see on it is not what I paid, but apparently the person I bought it from paid. This could easily looks like between an 8.5 and a 9.2. Looks really good. And this is another book I would recommend getting. This, of course, is X-Men number 129. I've always wanted this book. This is the first time I've ever owned this book. It's the first appearance of Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost. Who knows when the X-Men come to the MCU if this book or these characters will be used, and if so, you know, will they be main characters or will they be something like Jubilee, where they promised Jubilee in movies and you saw a little shot, and the same thing with like Dazzler in that last X-Men movie where you just see her at basically a little mini party out in the woods, and you wouldn't have known who she really was unless you were a diehard comic fan. But this book, I mean, two major characters, Kitty Pryde, definitely. Emma Frost, love her outfit, by the way, but, you know, to each their own. They paid $120 on this book. This one's in great condition. There's maybe two minuscule hairline color breaks in the spine. Not even a quarter of an inch. It could benefit from a pressing, but the cover overall presents beautifully. Definitely a book I would recommend getting. I paid only $84.98 for this book, which is definitely a good price for this book. Because like I said, if you see right here, this person either bought it at $120 or was trying to sell it for $120, and I paid under $100 for it. I'll take that all the time. All right, so here's the last book. Alright, and don't forget, wait until the end to see who's today's surprise subscriber shout-out. Love this cover. I had to sell my higher grade of this book to get here, to move to Florida. I do have another minor copy, but this one, absolutely love it. This is, I want to make sure, Batman number 251. This is the quote-unquote first modern Joker. This is the one everybody pretty much associates with at this point. This was signed by Neil Adams. Now, of course, it's not graded, so it's not verified. But if you do your homework and you check other signatures from verified places, like witnessed from CGC, you could see the signature looks pretty authentic, but there's only one way to find out. I will eventually get this one graded. This one would definitely benefit from a pressing. It has a minor... It has a subscription crease, but it doesn't break color. So a pressing would definitely help that out. So this is probably a 4.5 to a 5.5 unpressed. And between a 5.5 and maybe a 6.0, that might be pushing it. But I would say, honestly, a 5.0 to a 5.5. Pushing a 6.0 if pressed and dry cleaned. But with Neil Adams' signature... I paid a great price for this. This book is a very expensive book, and Joker is always going to be hot. I paid $160, which I think is a pretty decent price. This is another book I've had since New York that I did not open. So I will be getting this one graded. Obviously, when I send my 4 books every month to PGX, they also do signature verification and pressings in-house. I won't be sending this to be graded right away, but it definitely will be happening. So those are the books. Hopefully you appreciated this video. Thank you to the 2 people that were kind enough to do the super chat. Thank you to the 35 people who did the thumbs up. Let me do today's surprise subscriber shout out. If you want one, you don't have to be a subscriber, but it definitely helps. But I won't be able to check anyway. So we're going to go with Nick Webbs 76. So Nick Webbs 76, you are today's surprise subscriber shout out, and make sure you give the shout out to a shout out. Hopefully he's still there. Alex says, Chris, do you think we will be a cashless society? That's a whole nother video, but let's put it this way. You absolutely 100% should do everything in your power to prevent that from ever happening. Unless you want governments to know everything you spend your money on. There will no longer be anything private anymore. Banks, businesses will share this information. It is very dangerous. Let's put it this way. If I have $1,000 in cash, I can walk to a flea market and buy $1,000 worth of stuff, and no one would ever know that that transaction has happened. In a cashless society, they use the convenience of it to work against you. People will regret that because everything you do will be monitored and tracked, and your privacy already is at extreme risks. So I would recommend to everyone, do everything in your legal power to prevent a cashless society. Let's put it this way. I heard that Pizza Hut was starting to go cashless. And I sent them a message on their website saying, well, you decided to go cashless. I've decided to never use your service again. So there are ways that you could prevent these things from happening by not supporting businesses that are going to go along with it. Unless you want everyone out there to know what you spend your money on with no privacy anymore. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So it may be easier, it may be more convenient, but it will definitely make you lose your freedoms that we have left, and we're losing so many of them. So I would be very careful about that. You can believe that, you can not believe that. That is up to you. When somebody asks my opinion of something, I'm going to give it. Does not mean you are going to agree. So with that being said, let's end this video. End it with a thumbs up and a shout out to our surprise subscriber shout out. And don't remember, and yes, that's another key thing that Horror Breakdown says, is they'll turn off your wallet if they don't like you. So that's another thing. If everything's all digital and they, for some reason, you know, don't like you, and you see how much they block things on YouTube and everything these days, who's to say they might just one day shut off your credits? Now what? People better be careful what they wish for. They might get it. So I will rather do deals with cash than have everything I do being monitored and have somebody else have control over my currency, because it's not even money. And that's a story for another time. So thank you for listening, guys. Thumb it up if you appreciate my videos. Hit subscribe if you want to see more. Check out my playlists. I did another poll earlier this morning. Hopefully you will go and join in. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of all of the comics that I showed. Are there any that you're interested in getting for yourself? And don't forget, I also sell some of my comics. I have a couple of videos. You can go to the playlist of comics for sale. You'll see a bunch of videos where I sell some of my comics, because I no longer have the flea market to do that anymore. I also have mystery boxes. I also have comics on a web store. The link is in the description. Check it out. So thanks for watching, and do not forget, it is not you, it is not I, it's We Love Comics, and Punisher XS says the world is changing for the worst. That may or may not be true, but here's the advice I will give to everybody. It doesn't have to be worse for you. The world can crumble around you. Doesn't mean you can be affected if you don't want to. Remember the story of Noah's Ark. The world flood. Now, I don't know if that's a real or an analogy. It doesn't matter. Or an amalgam. But the point of the matter is, for the rest of the world, it was a pretty bad scenario. For Noah, he did quite well. So, no matter how bad the world can get, it doesn't mean you have to be a part of that badness, unless you are going to learn something from it and are facing it for whatever reason. So, don't be a part of that. Unless you came here for that life lesson. That's up to you. Alright, guys. That's enough philosophical stuff. Give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe. And you all have a happy day of collecting. Make deals happen. Do your research. And I'm going to stop rambling. Peace out, everybody.